Give the shoulders a little roll, give the hips a little wiggle. You can even soften your gaze, or you can let the eyes completely close, whatever is most comfortable for you. Whatever allows you to kind of draw your awareness towards your space on your mat and towards your body and your breath. And take a moment at the end of your day to just kind of let go of anything that came before this class, anything that it took to get you here, any rushing around that you did. Setting that all aside, you made it to class, the hard part is over, you're on your mat now. And now you just get to be busy taking care of yourself. Take a moment to check in with the body. Notice where you're feeling sensation, any tightness, restriction, any tension. And also checking in with any areas that feel really good this evening. And then checking in with the breath. Where do you feel the breath in the body? Where do you feel that connection to the inhales and the exhales? The rise and fall, the in and out. Is one side of the breath deeper or longer? Were you holding the breath anywhere that you didn't even know you were holding? And now we'll slowly start to develop our core breath. As you inhale, starting to draw the breath towards the bottom of the ribs, feeling a sense of expansion there at the bottom of the rib cage, the front, the sides, the back. And as you exhale, very gently starting to draw the bottom of the ribs back in towards your center. Starting to connect with those transverse abdominals and the diaphragm. As you inhale, again finding that sense of expansion. And maybe this time all the way to the belly button. And as you exhale, drawing those core muscles gently back in, feeling the rib cage draw back in. And as you inhale again, finding a sense of expansion as you draw the breath, maybe a little bit deeper, maybe just an inch below the belly button, the front, the sides, and the back of the waist. Exhaling, gently drawing in. And as you inhale again, drawing the breath a little bit deeper. If you can, all the way to the top of the hips, the pelvis. And as you exhale, drawing the core muscles back in, like a corset hugging around the spine and your internal organs. And on your next inhale, maybe if it feels accessible, going even deeper into the lower abdomen, all the way into the pelvis, to the front of the hips. Exhale, gently drawing those lower abdominal muscles in. And again, inhaling maybe a little bit deeper, maybe all the way into the pelvic floor this time. The space in between the sit bones, the space between the pubic bone and the tailbone, letting them soften and stretch. And as you exhale, gently drawing those muscles back in with the core muscles. And then feeling the whole core. Inhaling, feeling the diaphragm contract, the transverse abdominals expand around the waist, the pelvic floor softens and stretches. And as you exhale, this whole cylinder of the core gently draws back in towards the center. And now just moving at your own pace, we'll take about 3 or 4 more breaths here. As you inhale, feeling a sense of expansion and stretching from the inside, and as you exhale, finding that engagement and that connection to that deep core. Just taking about 2 more breaths here. And if you want, you can inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. And if the eyes are closed, you can gently start to blink them open, maybe start to wiggle the fingers, the toes. And then start to do any little bit of moving that feels good. You can roll the shoulders again, give the hips a little wiggle. If you're in a seated position, you can start to make your way onto your back. If you're lying down and there's any props underneath you, you can move them out of the way. We're going to set up for our bridge pose, so you can grab your wood block. And placing your wood block in between the thighs, just above the knees, just so we have a focus for our engagement. And setting up our bridge pose, we'll just walk our feet in slightly, knees bent towards the ceiling. We'll start with no arms, and then if it's comfortable, we'll add in our arms after. So take a moment, again, setting up, find a position that feels strong, but also comfortable here. Rooting into the feet, weight in the backs of the arms. The chin is slightly tucked, there should be no weight in the back of the neck. Take a nice deep breath in, stretch into those core muscles, the pelvic floor. As you exhale, gently engage, draw in, connect to those core muscles. And then at the end of the exhale, start to slowly lift the hips. And then you can start to inhale here as you come into your bridge. And then as you exhale, slowly releasing and lowering all the way down. We'll take a nice deep breath in again. Stretching, expanding into that core, and then exhale, connect to the core first. Find that deep layer of core muscles, and then you can start to lift at the end of the exhale, and as you inhale, opening the hips towards the ceiling. And then as you exhale, slowly releasing. So if this is comfortable, you can stay here, or we can add the arms in, inhale. Exhale, connect to the core, lower abdomen in, pelvic floor in, and then as you lift and inhale, the arms can come overhead as you open the hips. And then as you exhale, coming all the way back down, hands can come back beside the hips. And just add the hands in if that feels good for you. If it doesn't, don't add them in. Big breath in again. Exhale, connect to the core. And then start to lift the hips and inhale. Maybe the arms come overhead as you open the hips. Engage the glutes and then exhale, release. And you do this one more time with your own breath. Just moving at your own pace. Connect to that core and then you can release down. And then once you feel like you've done enough of bridge, you can take that block out from between the knees. You can windshield wiper the knees side to side, or you can hug the knees into the chest. Again, we're still kind of warming up, so any little bit of moving that feels good. Just want to kind of rock side to side. Give the hips a wiggle. You can roll all the way to one side and we'll all come up to a seated position, and you're welcome to sit on your block or your bolster. You can sit cross-legged or you can sit on the knees. And you just kind of work with whatever works for your body. So we did a few of these movements last week. Today we're focusing on the thoracic spine. So we're not going to use the arms as much to isolate that upper back and the shoulders a little bit more. So find your sit bones underneath you. Lengthen the spine out of that space, sitting up nice and tall. So we're not rounding into the lower back. We have a little bit of engagement in our core already to support the length of the spine. We're going to interlace the fingers and press the backs of the hands towards the ceiling. You can really tight from cross. Okay, you can keep the arms here or you can place them behind the head, whichever is more comfortable. It doesn't really matter, we're just isolating that upper back. So deep breath in, breathe into those core muscles, and then you're going to exhale, engage, and then we're going to go over to the right. Inhale, back up, big breath. Breathe into that core. Exhale, engage first, and then over to the left. So it's a smaller movement than we usually do when we stretch. Big breath in. Exhale, engage, and then to the right. So you should feel those core muscles, and you should feel this more in the upper back and the shoulders. Big breath in. Exhale, engage, and then to this side. Good. One more time to each side. Move at your own pace. And back up. And then you can just release the arms for a moment. Do some shoulder rolls. Shake out the arms. So we'll move into our twist next. Again, we're taking the arms out of the equation so that we have to connect to that core. So we're going to interlace the fingers again, take them behind the head. Take a nice deep breath in. Exhale, engage. And then we're twisting to the right. Use those core muscles to twist. Inhale, stretch the core muscles, come back through center. Exhale, engage. And then to the left. Inhale. Exhale and twist. Okay, inhale to unwind. Exhale to engage. And then twist towards the end of the exhale. Again, one more time to each side. Move with your breath. Don't worry about what it looks like. Just focus on engaging on that exhale. And then once you're back to center, you can release. Roll the shoulders. Good. We'll come onto the hands and knees now for some cat-cows. Shoulders over the wrists, hips over the knees. Again, if you need, you can use foam blocks, or you can double up your mat for some extra padding under those knees. So this is a really good one to connect to our core. And you just pause here for a moment and we'll take our deep breath in without moving the spine yet. Let that core open and stretch, and then exhale, engage. Draw the navel towards the spine. Start to round into your cat stretch, chin to the chest. And then inhale, release those core muscles and start to bring your heart forward. Gaze forward, nice long stretch. And then exhale, engage, drop in as you round into that cat stretch. Good. Inhale, release and stretch. So as we're stretching the front body, notice that we're engaging the back body, shoulder blades, scapula to the spine, and then as we exhale and engage the core, we're stretching the back body, shoulder blades come away from the spine. Inhale, shoulder blades in towards the spine, so we're engaging that upper back, and then exhale, we're stretching the upper back as we round. Good. 2 or 3 more times with your own breath here. Connecting to the core and feeling this movement in the thoracic spine, the upper back, the shoulder blades. Good. 1 or 2 more. Move with your breath. Good. And then after your next cat, you can release that. Release the breath for a moment. If you need to, you can sit back on the heels, do a couple of little wrist circles, or you can sit back into child's pose. However you want to take a rest. If you're ready, you can grab a drink of water. Take a moment, take a couple of breaths. And a couple of breaths that aren't engaging breaths. So we're just releasing, letting everything relax. Take 1 or 2 more breaths here, wherever you are. We have a few poses that are on the hands and knees, so if you need to rest the wrists at any time, you can come just to a seated position or you can come back to child's pose. You can start to find your way back onto the hands and knees. We're going to come into our balancing pose, bird dog. We're just going to start with the leg. So we're going to take a nice deep breath in here. Exhale, engage those core muscles. Keep the pelvic floor and the lower abdomen engaged. And then we're going to lift and extend the right leg. Lifting from the heel, engage the right glute. The heel should be no higher than the hip. Continue to breathe here so we're not holding the breath. Lower abdomen stays engaged, but we're continuing to breathe into the upper abdomen. Shift your weight slightly, a little bit more into that right hand, and then we're going to lift and extend the left arm. Turn the thumb towards the ceiling. And then exhale, release. Good. Take a nice deep breath in. Exhale, engage. Pelvic floor and lower abdomen stay connected. We're going to lift and extend the left foot first, engaging the left glute, lifting from the heel. Find your balance, and when you're ready, you can lift and extend the right arm, thumb towards the ceiling. And exhale, release. Good. Now we're going to move with the breath. So deep breath in. Let everything soften in the core, and then exhale, engage. Stay connected. Inhale, right leg, left arm. Exhale, release. Inhale. Exhale, engage. Inhale, lift, left leg, right arm. Exhale, release. Good. Deep breath in. Exhale, engage. Lift, right leg, left arm. Exhale, release. Deep breath in. Last one. Exhale, engage. And inhale, left leg, right arm. Exhale, release. Good. Now if you need to, child's pose, or you can sit back on the heels, circle the wrists. We're going to get into that upper back a little bit more, so if you need to give those hands and wrists a little bit of a break, grab a drink of water. 3 breaths wherever you are. And then we'll come back onto those hands and knees. Right, so for this one, we're going to take our right hand to our left shoulder, front of our left shoulder. So don't worry about how big this pose is. Find a little bit more mobility in the upper back and connect to that breath and that core. We're going to inhale and slightly open to the right. And then you're going to exhale as you connect to that core. Bring the right elbow towards the left wrist. Don't worry if they don't touch. Inhale, open a little bit to the right again. Exhale, connect to the core as you cross elbow to wrist. Good. 2 or 3 more times. Move with your breath. And remembering to connect to the core so that we're isolating that upper back. And then on your next exhale, you can release that right hand down. And if you need a break, you can shake out the wrists, and then left hand to the front of the right shoulder. And then when you're ready, inhale, opening slightly to the left. Exhale, connect to the core, left elbow to right wrist. Inhale, open, let those core muscles soften. Exhale, engage, and cross over. Inhale, open, stretch. Exhale, engage, and cross. Good. Again, 2 or 3 more. Moving with your breath. And the next time you exhale, you can release the left hand down. Again, if you need to, child's pose, shake out the wrists. If there's any other pose that you want to do in between, shake it out. If you go to the CrossFit gym, you're probably familiar with this next movement called the scap push. But take a couple more breaths. We're just going to connect to those scapula a little bit more. So for a moment, just come up to sitting. We're going to take the arms straight in front and palms out like you're pressing into a wall. And I want you to think like you're pressing into a wall and round the upper back like you're doing your cat stretch, but the rest of the spine stays neutral. So I'm not going to round the rest of my lower back and my cervical spine. I'm just rounding my shoulder blades away from my spine. And then resist like something's pushing against you and start to hug those shoulder blades back into the spine. Okay, so that's the movement that we're looking for. We're not moving any other part of the spine. We're not bending the elbows. We're just moving those scapula like we do in our cat-cow, but it's isolated to that upper back. So we're going to come onto the hands and knees. Again, our shoulders are over our wrists. As we inhale, we're going to hug those shoulder blades into the spine. Okay, like the floor is pressing into you. And then as you exhale, you're going to press into the floor, and the shoulder blades are going to come away from the spine. Inhale, hug. Shoulders come slightly towards the ears, and then exhale, we press away and round. And just a couple of breaths here. Again, we're just doing this to connect a little bit more to the shoulders, the scapula, and the upper back. Good. And then release the breath. You're going to come back onto your backs again. And you can have the legs straight or the knees bent. This one we do a lot in our Saturday morning class. You're going to start with the elbows bent at 90 degrees and the palms are towards the ceiling. And hands towards the floor as much as you can. The hands might not touch the floor. We're looking for a 90-degree bend. So just take a little peek side to side. If you need to, you can stagger with the people beside you, or you can hold hands. So this is going to be our inhale, where we open our chest and our palms are towards the ceiling. As you exhale, you're just going to rotate through the shoulders, elbows stay on the floor, and you're going to bring your palms towards the floor. Okay, so we're going to inhale, open the palms back up, open the chest. And then you're going to exhale, internally rotate those shoulders, palms towards the floor. Don't worry about touching the floor though. Inhale, open. Good. Exhale, rotate. Good. Then just move with your breath. So again, it doesn't matter if the hands touch the floor. You're just focusing on the movement in the shoulders. And notice where you feel this in the shoulders and the upper back. Is one side tighter than the other? Can you get lower on one side than you can on the other side? On your next inhale, you can stretch those arms all the way overhead. And then hug the knees into the chest. Do a little rock. And you can either roll over to one side or you can come into a little ball and rock yourself back up to sitting. And we're done with our mobility stuff. We're going to start to move into a little bit more of our strength stuff. So we're going to come back into our bird dog with a scap pull. So when we get into our bird dog and we're balanced, on our exhale, we're going to pull that arm back, hugging that shoulder back in towards the spine. Okay, so setting back up on the hands and knees. Finding your space there. We'll start with the right leg and the left hand. So take a nice deep breath in. Exhale, engage the core. and then inhale, lift. Right leg, left arm. Exhale, bring that left arm back. Bend the elbow, hug the left shoulder blade into the spine. Inhale, come back out, stretch the arm out, and then exhale, release everything back to the floor. Deep breath in here. Exhale, engage the core. You can start to inhale and lift the left leg, right arm, find your balance. Exhale, bend the right elbow, pull that arm back, shoulder blade to the spine. Inhale, reach forward again. Exhale, release. Good. Inhale. Exhale, engage. Right leg, left arm. Exhale, bend the left elbow, pull that arm back. Inhale, reach. Exhale, release. Good. One more time. Inhale. Exhale, engage. Lift, left leg, right arm. As you inhale, exhale, bend the right elbow, pull that arm back. Inhale, reach. Exhale, release. Go ahead, sit back to child's pose. Let the arms bend a little bit in child's pose. You can even flip the palms towards the ceiling if that feels good. Give those forearms and shoulders a little bit of a break. Take a deep breath in. This time, just let it go as you exhale. One more deep breath. And you can walk those hands back under the shoulders and bring yourself all the way up. So I'm going to show you first these next three movements because I'm going to give you the option to do just one of them, or you can try two or all three of them, just depending on which one feels better. They're all back extensions. They're just different placements of the arms and where your shoulder blades are connecting. So our first option is our baby cobra, hands under the shoulders, elbows hugged in. We connect to the lower abdomen and the pelvic floor on the exhale, and then when we inhale, we come up, and we're not using the hands, so we're just using the strength of the upper back. And then we release on the next exhale. Okay, same thing applies with the breath. Locust is the hands are back, palms are towards the floor, thumbs facing out. Exhale, engage. Inhale to lift. And then I have options here too. I can keep the hands on the floor. I can lift the hands, reaching back with the fingers. I can even reach up with the toes. Okay, again, it's more how long can you get versus how high can you get. And I exhale, release. And then the third option is arms straight in front. I use my exhale to engage my pelvic floor and lower abdomen again. And then my inhale to lift. I want to keep my ears between my arms, so I don't want to look, because then I'm cranking and stressing the cervical spine, the back of the neck. So my head stays down and my ears stay in line with my arms. And then I use my exhale to release. Okay, so I'll walk us through all three of them. If you find the first one is where you want to stay, you can do all of them just with the hands under the shoulders. If you find it's more comfortable to have the hands back by the hips, you can do all of them there, or arms overhead. Arms overhead is the more challenging one, so you just decide what you want to stick with. I'll guide us through the first option, which is hands under the shoulders. But again, if you've done this before and you know which one feels best, you can just stick with that one. So starting with hands under the shoulders. If you can, rest the forehead down, or you can turn over to one cheek. We want to take a nice deep breath in here first. And then exhale, engage the core. Pelvic floor is going to stay in along with the lower abdomen. And then as you inhale, you're going to lift the chest and the head. No hands. Hands come off the floor. And then exhale, release. Good. Okay, if you need to, give the hips a little wiggle here. Let those legs completely relax. We're not causing extra tension in the body. Then take another deep breath in. Exhale, engage, connect to that pelvic floor, lower abdomen, and then inhale, lift the chest. Again, no hands. Squeeze those scapula into the spine. And exhale, release. Good. So you can do that again, or you can take the hands back by the hips, palms to the floor. So the thumbs are out. So palms down, so like you're high-fiving the floor. Good. Okay, so same thing, big breath in. Exhale, engage, lower abdomen, pelvic floor. And then inhale, lift the chest. The hands can come off the floor, the feet can come up if that feels okay, as long as there's no pinching in the lower back, and then exhale, release. Good, and if you need to, wiggle the hips in between. Big breath in. Exhale, engage. And then inhale, lift and lengthen. Try to get longer. Reach through the crown of the head. Reach through the shoulders, the elbows, the hands. Exhale, release. Good. Okay, so you can stay with the first option or the second option. Our third option is to bring the arms forward. Okay, so really important that you stay connected to the lower abdomen in this one, so there's no pinching in the lower back. Deep breath in. Exhale, draw the pelvic floor in, lower abdomen in. It's going to stabilize the lower back. And then inhale to lift the chest, reach through the arms. Look down towards the mat, ears stay between the arms, and exhale, release. Good. Give the hips a little wiggle. Again, if you didn't like that option with the arms forward, you can come back to either of the other two options. Okay, deep breath in. Exhale, drop in. And then inhale, lift, extend, get longer. And exhale, release all the way down. Good. Give those hips another little wiggle. And then hands under the shoulders. You can press up onto the knees. Whenever you're ready, we're going to come into downward facing dog. This should feel good after all that back extension. Tuck the toes, lift the hips and the knees, and then press those hips up and back. Keep the knees bent first. Focus on lengthening the spine. Keep the thoracic spine neutral. So we have the tendency in downward dog to allow the chest to drop, and we hyperextend through the shoulders. So draw those shoulders in and down. So think about engaging the backs of the arms. Draw the lower belly in slightly. And then from here, you can start to walk out the backs of the legs. So as you bend one knee, you're reaching the opposite heel to the floor. You can even move the hips a little bit. Whenever you need to come out of this, you can come back down to the knees. And I don't think that you have to spend the whole time in downward dog, but if it feels good, keep walking it out. But whenever you need a break, come out of it, shake out the arms, the wrists, grab a drink of water. We're going to find our plank pose next, and then we're going to start to transition between downward dog and our plank pose. So if you were somebody who was doing plank pose last week with your blocks or a chair or your wall, you're welcome to move and set that up. Otherwise, we're going to start on the hands and knees. And we want to take a nice deep breath in. Exhale, engage the core, and then we can step the feet back into our plank, making sure that the shoulders stay over the wrists. Spine is neutral. Find your positioning here. And then make sure the feet are about hips width apart. We're going to exhale, lift those hips up and back. Press the front of your mat away, look back towards your feet, coming into your downward facing dog. And then inhale, shoulders come back over the wrists. Now if you need to, lower down to the knees and take a rest. Or you can keep moving, exhale, downward dog. Inhale to plank. Exhale, downward dog. So at any time, come down to the knees, take a break. You can do sets of 1. You can do plank down dog, rest on the knees. You can do a set of 2 and then rest. You can do a set of 3 and then rest. Again, whatever feels best, listen to your body. Especially if you're newer to this and you're starting to get any wrist pain. Maintain connection to that core. As you inhale forward to your plank, you're breathing into the upper abdomen, but staying connected to that lower abdomen. So we're not losing that connection. Also make sure that when you go back into your downward facing dog, that it's okay to bend your knees. Your downward dog is like your brake. So you're pressing the weight of your body off of your wrists and your hands back towards your feet. So bend your knees. Don't think you have to have straight legs. Your downward dog should become your brake. It should become your resting pose. So bend your knees if you need to. And then if you want, you can take a rest in child's pose. Knees to the floor, hips to the heels. If you need to flip the hands, do some wrist circles. Everyone's position looks pretty good, so we're going to move along. So, if you're in child's pose, you can slowly start to bring yourself up. We're going to all come up to a standing position. You're going to grab your block again. We're going to come into chair pose. So you're going to use your block just like we did in our bridge pose, in between the thighs, just above the knees. Feet are parallel, so just make sure that the toes aren't turned in and the toes aren't turned out. And then just finding a neutral standing position, so you can take a little rock forward and back. Just find that even weight distribution in the feet. And then that neutral pelvis. So you can do a little tilt forward and back, and slowly decrease that tilt until you feel that point of neutral where the front of the hip bones are forward and the spine feels nice and tall out of that space. Good. So we'll just do two chair pose just to connect to the position, and then we're going to do some work with the upper back. So we're going to take a nice deep breath in. Exhale, engage the core and the pelvic floor, and then we're going to sit into that chair. You can keep the hands on the hips, or you can bring the hands forward. Take a peek down at the toes. Make sure you can see the toes. If you can't see the toes, you need to sit those hips back. And then inhale, come all the way back up. And exhale, release. Good. Big breath in, stretch those core muscles. Exhale, engage, sit back in that chair. Inhale, come all the way back up. Exhale, release. Good. So now we have to practice holding chair pose where we maintain contact with that lower abdomen, the space between the two hip bones, that lower abdominal region. The transverse abdominal muscles I mentioned last week, there's 3 sections. So we can isolate so that we can still breathe into the upper abdomen. So we're not holding the breath, right? So we're just going to connect to that lower abdomen and the pelvic floor as we hold chair pose. But I want you to continue to breathe into that upper abdomen. So we're going to take a nice deep breath in, let everything soften. Exhale, engage, including the pelvic floor, and then we're going to sit in that chair. Good. And then we're going to take the arms out into kind of a Y position. Turn the thumbs towards the back. Good. So sitting in our chair. We're going to inhale here. Exhale, take those thumbs back. Squeeze the shoulder blades to the spine. Inhale, release the arms a little bit. Keep holding. Exhale, press the thumbs back. Good. Just one more. Inhale. Exhale, thumbs back. And inhale, stand all the way up. And exhale, release. Good. Shake it out if you need to. You need to take the block out for a minute. So that was our Y position. The next position is a T with the palms forward and the thumbs towards the ceiling. Okay, so block in between the thighs. Deep breath in. Exhale, engage. And then we're sitting in that chair. Arms out, palms forward. Okay, so connect to the pelvic floor, lower abdomen. We're going to breathe into the upper abdomen. Exhale, pull the arms back, open the chest. Inhale, release the arms a little bit. Exhale, pull them back. Squeeze those shoulder blades. Inhale. Exhale. Good, and then inhale, stand all the way up. Exhale, release. Shake out those arms. Okay, so our last position, the eye, we're taking palms towards the thighs, and we're taking the pinky fingers back this time. Okay, so we're moving down underneath the scapula a little bit, engaging these bottom muscles underneath the scapula. So nice deep breath in. Let everything soften. Exhale, engage. Sit in that chair. Palms towards the thighs. Inhale here. Exhale, pinky fingers back. Inhale, release the arms. Exhale, pinky fingers back. One more time. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, release. And shake it out. And then you can take your block. We're going to use our block again in a minute, but we'll just come into warrior one, first without the block. So stepping closer towards the front of your mat, you're going to step your right foot back, turn your right heel in so that the foot is grounded. And our hips are facing the front of our mat, so adjust the feet so that you feel solid and balanced. And take a little test bend into that front knee. Make sure the knee's not going over the foot. Good. So we're going to straighten that front leg. Inhale the arms up overhead, palms face each other. And we're going to exhale, bend that front knee. Now zip up from the pubic bone to the belly button. And then inhale, come back up. Let the abdomen soften. Exhale, zip it back up. Good. Inhale. And exhale. We're going to hold this one. Stay connected to that lower abdomen, but continue to breathe into the ribs and the upper abdomen. And then inhale back up. And exhale, release. Good. You can step the feet back together. Shake it out if you need to. And then we'll step the left foot back. Turn the left heel in. Find that nice solid stance. Bend that front knee. Hips face the front of the mat. So if you need to, take the feet a little bit wider so they're on separate railway tracks. Good. We'll straighten that front leg. Bring the arms overhead. Take a nice deep breath in. Exhale, bend the front knee as you zip up. Pubic bone to navel. Draw that lower belly in. Inhale, release as you come back up. Exhale, engage as you sink back in. One more time. Inhale. Exhale. And stay down here. Keep that lower abdomen in. Continue to breathe though. Don't let that breath stay stuck. And inhale all the way up. And exhale, release. Step the feet back together. Shake it out. Grab your block. So we're just going to be adding a little bit of upper body movement to our warrior one. We're going to take the block behind the head and then come back up. So we'll hold it behind the head as we step the right foot back again, setting up for our warrior one. Right foot back, right heel turned in, facing the front of the mat. Good. So as we inhale, straighten that front leg, arms come overhead. As you exhale, connect to the core, bend the front knee, and bend the elbows. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, come back into it. Inhale. And exhale. Good. Keep the rib cage in. Bottom of the ribs stay anchored. And inhale up. This time just stay here. Exhale, release. Bring the arms in front. Step the feet back together. Shake it up. Good. This time left foot back. Heel in. Set up your warrior one stance. Hands behind the head. Good. Straighten that front leg. Inhale, arms come up. Exhale, engage the core. Bend the front knee, bend the elbows. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, come back into it. Good. Anchor the ribs as you do this. Exhale. Good. Inhale. 2 more. Exhale. Good. Inhale. Last one. Exhale. Good. Inhale. And then release. Exhale. Walk in front. Step the feet together. Walk off to the side. Shake out the arms. Grab your strap. So this should feel good after all that upper back stuff. The strap is very looped. You just want to hold it so that it's a little bit wider than your shoulders, and you might have to double up your strap, or you might have to take even wider distance between the hands. We're just going to take the arms up and over, so just coordinating with the people beside you. Whenever you're ready, you can inhale the arms up and exhale them all the way over. Inhale. Yeah, take wider distance. Yeah. So just moving with your own breath. Take the strap wider if you need to. If you're like, I can't get over, take the strap wider. Mine is just doubled up. Take the strap wider if you need to. Inhale up, exhale over. Inhale up, exhale over. There you go. And then the next time you're in front, you can just pause there. We're just going to do a little standing twist, just once to each side. Take your strap in front. This time, take your hands so that they're shoulder width apart. Straight out in front. Come into that nice strong stance. Feet are about hips width apart or just wider. Feet are parallel. If you need to, you can do that little rock forward and back just to find that space where you feel grounded and neutral. Arms straight in front. We're going to take a nice deep breath in. Exhale, engage that core. And then take your hands both to the right. Inhale back to center, unwind. Exhale, engage the core, and to the left. Inhale back to center, and just release here. Exhale. Good. And then just to stretch out, we're going to take that right strap, or that strap over the right shoulder. Right arm up towards the ceiling. Give yourself a pat on the back. Find that strap. And then take the left hand out, palm towards the back, bend the elbow, find the strap underneath. And then for today, we're going to take that right scapula up and out, and the left one in and down. So you're going to be slightly twisted a little bit here to the left. Inching those fingers towards each other. Trying to get that right elbow towards the ceiling. And on an exhale, release. Shake out the arms, pull the shoulders. And then we'll take that strap over the left shoulder. Left arm up, give yourself a pat on the back, find your strap. Right arm out, palm towards the back, bend the elbow, find the strap underneath. And then left scapula is out and up, right one is in and down. So again, we're just a little bit asymmetrical here. Inching those fingers towards each other. You're going to find that one side is a lot tighter than the other. No core breath here, just a couple of deep breaths. And exhale, release. Unwind, shake out the arms. Okay, our last thing, malasana, our yoga squat. So we're going to use our strap today. If you need a target, you're welcome to use the chairs or your block or your blocks and your bolster, whatever you were using last time, unless you can squat and stay connected all the way down, or just stop yourself before you lose connection. We're going to take that strap again, just a little bit wider than the shoulders. Think about that wide position that we did in our chair pose. Gently draw those scapula, those shoulder blades in towards the spine as we bring the arms up overhead. Our feet are a little bit wider than our hips. Toes are out on a 45. We're going to take an inhale here. Exhale, engage the core and the pelvic floor. Sit the hips back, bend the knees. Okay, just go as low as you can, staying connected to the floor, and then inhale back up. Exhale, release. Shake it out if you need to. We're going to do 2 more of those. I know it's getting warm in here. Arms come up, scapula to the spine. Inhale. Exhale, engage. Pelvic floor in, knees out, hips back. Sit it down. Inhale, come all the way back up. Exhale, release. Shake it out. Good. Last one. Arms come up, scapula to the spine. Big breath in. Exhale, engage. Good. Now as we come up, the pelvic floor stays connected in, lower belly in, press into the feet, come all the way up. Exhale, release. God. I like you throw all your props away there. Do a little shake out. Good. You can either just sit back to the floor, or if you want to do a forward fold and come into it, we can stand towards the front of the mat, feet again about hips width apart. Inhale, the arms are going to come up. And then as you exhale, you're going to hinge at the hips, almost like we're coming into chair pose. Bend the knees and then bring your torso right to your thighs. Drape over the legs. From this position, you're going to lift the sit bones to come into your fold. And then you can plant the hands and step your feet back to your downward dog, or just come all the way down to your knees. You can walk it out one more time in down dog. And then on an exhale, lower all the way down. If you need to, grab another drink of water, shake it out, child's pose. And then come on to your back whenever you're ready. No rush to get there. If you need a few more breaths in child's pose, take your time. And then once you're on your back, if there's any little bit of moving that you want to do, hug the knees into the chest, fold the shoulders. If you have room, you can take the arms wide, or you can take the arms all the way overhead. Let's take a nice, easy breath here. Breathing in, and as you breathe out, give yourself a nice big hug. Right arm on top of the left. Wrap the hands around for those shoulder blades. Maybe bring the chin in towards the chest. You can do a little rock, kind of side to side, and massage out that upper back. That area of your body some love after having worked so hard. And then arms wide or arms overhead again. Just take a nice easy breath in here. And as you breathe out, left arm on top, give yourself a nice big hug. Maybe chin to chest. Maybe a little rock side to side. And then again, arms wide or arms overhead. Easy breath in. And this time you're going to exhale and hug the right knee into the chest. And if it feels good, you can extend the left leg straight, or you can keep the left knee bent. Point and flex the right toes, circle the right ankle. Even rock the right knee side to side, maybe some little circles with the right knee. And then you can release that right foot. Inhale, arms overhead or arms wide. Just an easy breath. And breathing out, the left knee comes in. Right leg straight or bent, whatever feels good. Point and flex the left toes. Circle the ankle. Maybe circle the knee. And then we'll bend both knees, feet to the mat. You're going to take the right hand underneath the lower back, palm to the floor. Gently roll that right shoulder open. If you have space, you can stretch that left arm out. If you don't have space, don't worry about it. You can stay here, you can turn your head to the left, looking away from that right shoulder. Just feeling a gentle stretch in that right shoulder and the right side of the neck. If that doesn't feel good for the neck, you can always just keep your gaze towards the ceiling. And on an exhale, we'll release that side and slowly take that right hand out. Start to bend the left elbow, palm to the floor, left hand underneath the lower back. Right arm out or just right arm beside you. If it feels good, you can turn the head to the right. Just easy breaths here, so we're not engaging anywhere, we're just letting that breath go now. And then you can slowly take that left hand out. Turn the palms towards the ceiling for a moment. And gently open the heart. Give the shoulders a little roll down the spine. And then any last little bit of moving that you would like to take here. If you want to hug the knees into the chest one more time, if you'd like to do a happy baby or a twist or another bridge pose or any little bit of wiggling, some windshield wipers.